We are at Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial Center in Israel, in the Remembrance Hall. Rabbi Paul comes up to me and he says, I'm so sorry, they're not going to let us add the part to the service. And I'm like, no big deal, I'll post it on social media later. And he's like, no, if you're going to do that, let's record it now. So we walk out of the hall and it's just like torrential rain outside. And we're right by the door to the entrance, but we're in the rain. And I take my Kindle, which I brought just for this. And the night before I downloaded The Diary of Anne Frank. I had just read it in November when I was in Berlin, and I had this idea that I wanted to read the last entry from her diary. So he turns on, I give him my phone, he starts recording me, and I start reading. I say, Tuesday, August 1st, 1944, dearest Kitty. A bundle of contradictions is how I ended my last entry and how I begin this one. This is my 4th time in Israel. The first time I was in Israel, I was not even a U.S. citizen yet. I was born in the Soviet Union. We came as Jewish refugees to the United States when I was 9 years old. So my first time in Israel was when I was 16. I went with my grandparents. I just remember being taken to a lot of relatives and their friends and a lot of Russian and just not having a great time. Also, I remember having my period and cramps, and these are the things I remember about my first trip to Israel. So my second time to Israel was in 2004. So this was my first semester of law school. A few months earlier, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And when I look back at what that trip was like, there's definitely a lot of things that I'm a little embarrassed by. But I did meet, not surprisingly, I met this very handsome soldier. We had a very nice time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so next time that I was in Israel was in 2012 with my bipolar disorder. The first time when it was really scary and in and out of hospitals for a year was 2012. And because I'm articulate, even when I'm losing my mind, it's sometimes very hard to explain that I really need help, and it's so hard too with mental health. It's you need to find the right words to explain what's happening when it's happening. And it's hard. And so one of the things that I did, because I was so desperate to get help and didn't know what to do, was I took all the pills that I had. And I didn't intend to kill myself. I just needed help. So I literally take all these samples and immediately call 911. And so I'm taking to Henry Ford. And, it was such a surreal, when you're in an episode, I couldn't understand why my mother was crying in the emergency room. Why was she processing? I didn't mean to kill myself. I just needed help. So my mother, on that time, the hospital psychiatrist she needs to go to inpatient. And my mother is we have a trip to Israel planned. So I went to Israel. That's the state of affairs. The third time that I'm in Israel, this is 2012. Didn't want to be there. I came back. I think I went into the ER and said, I'm going to drive into oncoming traffic. When you realize you need help and there's a shortage of beds, you need to say, I'm going to harm myself or someone else. Otherwise, you're not going to get into inpatient. You're welcome. Anyways, so then we are now in 2023. The last time I was very sick was 2019. I was so sick that I qualified for disability, which has changed my life because it gave me food security and housing security and really got me to where I am right now, where I'm not just moment to moment, but thriving and just really living fully. So I saw in the signature of somebody's email, never underestimate the power of email signatures, that there was going to be this trip to Israel, Motor City Mission. And I definitely, it was how do I make this happen? And with a whole lot of miracles and miles from my grandparents' accounts, I have no idea, but God, right? God. So it happened. So I was on this trip, Motor City Mission, and I remember on this trip with us, there was a couple that was celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. And then the husband, he handed out to all 130 plus, adults on this mission, a small pin that had the flag of Israel and the American flag on it. And I put it in my purse because I see people on Facebook do the flag and I stand with Israel. And I was I deeply identify as Jewish, but I felt if I put that on my Facebook, I'm saying I condone X, Y, and Z, and I just didn't feel comfortable. And then, here we were at Yad Vashem, and we're walking in small groups, and we are learning about the Holocaust. And clearly, I've heard of it before, but you are really like learning. And there was a moment there where I reach into my purse and I take out that pin and I put it on because I realized that Israel needs to exist as a Jewish state so the Jewish people can continue to exist. And so here we are in the downpouring rain, and I nod my head, and Rabbi Paul continues to record, and I say, Sunday, March 19th, 2023. We are here, the Motor City in Jerusalem at Yad Vashem. We just celebrated Shabbat. We love Israel, and we're proud to be Jewish. And I say my name, love, Yevgeniya Gazman, Bat Ilya Ketel Giser, Maria Pekarsky. Thank you.